Andy Rooks. I am a multiple time startup founder and former marketer, and I help advise startups and growth companies on their pricing and packaging strategies. I specialize in value based pricing, which is really all about um, matching your price and your offering to what your customers need. So it's about kind of meeting in the middle. There are lots of approaches to pricing, um, but that's just the one that I happen to specialize in. Um, and so it's more about understanding what your customers value and getting some kind of estimate of how much they value that, and really understanding that. In order to do value-based pricing, you need to first really understand who you are selling to. And I can't stress this enough. There are a lot of founders out there that will start their journey with a Swiss Army knife that does everything for everyone, and it's very difficult to ascertain how much is this valuable and to whom. So, um, really getting to know your customers before you do anything, any sort of building or thinking about pricing or launching. Go out and talk to as many customers as you can and really get to understand what do they value and why do they value that, because there are lots of ways to go to market, lots of ways to craft your pricing. um, so it's a matter of getting to know them, and then also uh, a matter of understanding what they're used to. So if you are selling to enterprise B2B software, you have to understand what their buying process is like, and what they expect from a buying process and what they expect from a pricing perspective, so that you don't kind of come out of left field and with any surprises or anything like that, because that just slows down your sales process. Well, value-based pricing is really about setting a price point based on how much value you are creating on the other end. So it works like this. You create a certain amount of value for your customer, and then the top of that will change. And then you decide what percentage of that are you going to take with price. And that's, anywhere from 10 to 20% that you're actually going to take with price. That's essentially how value-based pricing works. Um, Often the more important question is, how do you package that? So you have, okay, I know I want to charge $1,000 a year, or collect this much for my product at the end of the year, but how do I package that up in a way that makes sense? Um, and so these are the things that I like to look for. What are the norms and expectations? And I think I touched on this a little bit before, but what does your buyer expect? Do they have a certain way of paying that they're used to? Um, is the innovation that you're bringing a new pricing model? And that can be great. But again, can you explain your value proposition in a way that's consummate with the expectation that your buyer has then? So really making sure you meet norms um, of how they're buying. And so the market will often dictate, this is what people are used to buying and how they're used to buying it. So kind of go with the tide. And it can be difficult when you introduce two new things at once. One being like a new product that you're going to use, and the second being a new type of pricing model that comes along with that. That can be kind of difficult to digest on the buyer end, on the user end. So go with what your industry is telling you people are used to. I can't stress that enough. In the B2B setting, it can be a lot easier than in B2C, because those are more fast moving, and there are many more buyers out there. In the B2B setting, there are kind of 5 indicators of economic value that you can create for a business will create for any other business. So there's, you're saving time and effort. You're replacing something that they might want to build themselves. You are reducing or eliminating a risk that they face, like a monetary risk. You could be bringing them new revenue, a new ingredient for them to put into their widget and make it more expensive or get more customers. Or the last is you could be giving them a direct saving. Um, you know, your utility bill is $100, but if you buy from me, it'll only be 90. So that sort of thing. So if you look across those five factors, you can kind of make a decent guess at how much value you're going to create for your segment of buyers. And then that's typically how you can begin the process of estimating how much value you create. And part of the part of the art of this is understanding who that typical buyer is going to be and where you draw the line between segments. That's a usually when you have limited data as a startup founder, it's a qualitative call, and making choices about really being honest with yourself about how you're creating value along those five dimensions in a B2B setting. Now, there are other factors like brand factors and feel good factors and social good factors that aren't a part of that model, but we still value them, especially as consumers. And there are other methodologies for estimating willingness to pay. I don't especially think that I can't take credit for them, basically. But there are methodologies out there. I always like to start with um, a type of survey called the Van Westendorp Price Sensitivity Meter. Um, that's a really good yardstick for your buyer's willingness to pay. If you want to use that survey methodology, it's a good one, and it'll give you a good range for how much to charge, not a precise amount.